Good evening, everybody. Disclaimer, Chris is not feeling totally up to snuff today, so if I ramble on or don't make any sense, please call me on it. Just today, though. There are no amendments for the agenda. We do have one small in-camera item. So with that, can I please have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Kel.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. And all in favor? Carried. Adopt the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting of April 4th, 2023.
Make a motion to adopt the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting from April 4th, 2023.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Any questions or comments?
Not for me.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 3, to adopt the minutes from the special meeting of April 12th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes from the special meeting. I can second that.
Any questions or comments?
No.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 4, motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $285,578.72.
I'll make a motion to pay the open payables.
Thank you,
I'll
Councillor.
second that.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Questions or comments?
I did have one. 61185. I was just curious about that one.
Funny, I burned my mouse over it because I knew you were gonna ask. That is the chippered arm on the garbage truck.
Okay. And that was, sorry, from
Couple of
was that last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other significant purchases on there? Nope. Any other questions?
What about Yukon Government Community Services? So that's 61,192.
And that is us paying for them to do the property tax assessment.
Oh, is that for all of our?
Of the whatever sections they do what year.
Oh, okay.
From here,
I don't know how they do that. That's what,
door to door to door.
right, okay.
Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Item number 5 is the public hearing for the zoning bylaw.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Thank you, Councillor Burtis.
Your worship, I can even tell you that there was no written submissions received.
Thank you, CAO Lockwood. This is a public hearing, so we will welcome any comments from the gallery. We have one person from the gallery. Ms. Budden Walters, do you have any comments regarding the zoning bylaw? You'll have to unmute yourself. Okay.
Nope, I have no questions. Thank you.
Yes.
You found that unmute button, eh?
Yeah. I didn't expect that.
Can you hit the mute button now, please?
Really?
Thank you. All right, can I have a motion to come out of the public hearing, please?
I'll make a motion to come out of the public hearing.
Thank you,
Second it.
Councillor Burtis. Thank you, Councillor Paquette. All in favor? Carried. All right, if that ends our public hearing, the zoning bylaw 2023-05. Next is item 6 on our agenda, CAO Lockwood, please.
Yes, so I'm happy to inform you that I signed the interim regional landfill agreement yesterday. And with that, Yukon government is accepting 50% of our post-closure and closure it costs, so that's millions of dollars in our favor. And so that's the interim. We'll be getting a check, payment coming for 61,600, I believe, something like that. So, definitely, it's a great increase over what we were receiving before, which was 50.
Okay.
And, the biggest bonus is them taking on that liability, because that's will save the municipality millions of dollars with a plural. So that's nice to have that away. I'm also happy to announce that yesterday our in-ground infrastructure tender went out. It's live. If anybody wants to look at it, it's on bids and tenders, Yukon Government. As of this morning, there have been 3 sets of tender documents pulled for it already. So that's moving ahead. There are also infrastructure development branch is also working on trying to get that's a revised scoping on the rec center for the work and stuff there. They just ran into a little bit of grief where the architect and the consulting firm are not talking anymore, so they're in the process of trying to find a different architect to work with the engineers. The other thing that I've signed off and we're in the process of receiving funding is for the museum, from the museums, from tourism. So that gives us about just under $46,000 towards the operation of the Northern Lights Center. It used to be always be 40,000, so we had a raise. And also today I did sign off and we received the transfer payment agreement for the special funds through museums, and that was in the capital budget where we're applying for $20,000 to buy 2 new movies for the rec center or for Northern Lights Center. So we received that agreement today and it's signed off, which is huge. The seats are now back mounted in place in the Northern Lights Center. I went over and actually threw a screen on and tried out the different chairs for different locations to see the view, and it's phenomenal. But maybe if people have bifocals, you might have to pull them down. But it works very well. And I also had an update from Department of Highways regarding the street lighting project, because I know it's near and dear to all your hearts. I'll just read it for you. They have now received the final design and firm cost estimate from ATCO. They're drafting a contract with ATCO for $830,202.68 to install the entire section of new street lighting, kilometer 1 to kilometer 4 along the Robert Campbell Highway this year. Unfortunately, they must wait to sign the contract with ATCO for Canada to send them their funding agreement for signature. But they've been approved for funding, like I told you before. They're doing their best to push Canada because they don't want to hold back the work. Once ATCO contract is signed, ATCO can order the materials and schedule the work. At this point, ATCO fully expects that they will be able to complete all the work this year by December this year. Unless there's a delay in material delivery, they'll let me know as timelines come forward. But ATCO feels that they can have it done. And then the other project is the pedestrian crossings. They're going to do them this summer. They have all the materials, poles, bases, beacons, etc., ready to be installed in Watson Lake. Through the winter, they've been working closely with ATCO to design the power supply to the crossings, which turned out to be larger undertaking than expected because ATCO needed these crossings on a separate meter, so the town doesn't pay for the power. We're close to finalizing the plans with ATCO, and they hope to start construction soon. And they've been dealing with local contractors to see who can help them get the work done. So 2 exciting things on that front. So by the interpretation of the first one, the lighting from kilometer 1 to kilometer 4, that means that it sounds like we don't have to pay anything.
Can I ask you what that dollar figure was again, please, before we get too far away?
830,202.68.
Thanks. I mean, that's great news if that's.
Yeah.
Really what that means. Yeah,
No, I think it does because, before he talked about trying, we
Yeah.
wouldn't have to pay.
it's awesome.
Highways, right?
Department heads, yeah. And to answer Miss Button, I will respond to your question in the text. So yeah, so that's moving forward. Public Works is dealing with, it's the spring transition season, so they're getting ready for street sweeping, that type of stuff. Rec Center is doing phenomenally well. Things are progressing over there. They've got a time frame and a system worked out, and yeah, things are flowing the way I wanted to go. So I'm very happy over there, and we're working on finalizing things for AYC. So the staff knows that we're doing some shift juggling, so we're set up and take down.
Shift.
So that is plugging away. So that is, the other thing that we're trying to confirm is Household Hazardous Waste Day. Our original email we got from the government is that it's going to transpire on May 6th, but they haven't sent us confirmation. So we're chasing them right now to try and get them locked in as well.
Okay.
So that's all I have for now.
I have two quick questions. Oh, actually, one you already answered. I have one quick question. The interim landfill agreement, how? Is that something that needs to be revisited every year now, or like how long is that gonna be in effect?
Term until the regional.
Until- How far off do you think the rest of the
Well,
territory is from?
well, the other, Teslin is the only other community that's signing right now. The rest are still working on trying to get things so they can get into the agreement. But we're waiting. This interim agreement will be in place until the final regional agreement comes in. And the only thing that's holding that up now is YG EMR on land designation and leasing, so it becomes in our name as part of the regional agreement. And the other thing is our solid waste monitoring plan, which is a 3-year license, is expiring in December. And so it's up for renewal as well. So they all fit together, but I honestly don't expect to have a regional agreement, the full finalized regional agreement in place until next spring.
Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I apologize. Sorry, I'll ask again later if it's.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, the 66, whatever thousand, so that's basically, that's the number until the actual agreement is signed?
We're getting 100% of the funding right from the get-go.
Okay,
Because we have to meet full funding, you had to have gates, you had to have tipping fees, you had to have staff. They had, all these criteria, and we've been meeting them since 2015.
okay,
And just to be clear, that is YG's contribution to our landfill operations.
That's correct. And that number is based on population outside of the municipal boundaries. And we've done 3 different, they've hired Stantec and AYC did a thing, and then we did a review.
Yeah.
And so the approximate number in the Yukon outside of municipal boundaries is about 257 people. So on top of that, because we said, well, we needed a fudge factor, right? So they put in a 20% factor on top of that population. So that played us for 303 people or whatever.
Within the region outside of the municipal
Yeah,
boundaries.
that's exactly. And then at the dollar rate on top of that.
Okay.
I guess the reason why I was asking that is because it sounds like some of the other municipalities are still digging their heels in about it, and so, I just thought, what if it's much longer than that?
Yeah.
Before there's actual agreement signed, and so I thought, is that amount gonna be like
We'll get that every year
yeah,
until the regional agreement is signed. And then it'll continue because that's the same dollar amount.
Do you anticipate it ever being more, I guess?
Yes,
Like,
so there is a review clause that's gonna be in the agreements based on the review population
okay,
going forward.
that's all.
And they've all been reviewed, all the municipalities went together and, hired Graham Lang as our lawyer to represent us on the regional landfill process. And he's been through with a fine tooth comb and checked everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think it's good for us.
Cool.
Thank you.
It's great for us. I think the liability is the biggest piece, right? Like you were saying, the closure of that is gonna save us.
It's probably be three, by the time we get to that stage, it's probably gonna be 3 to 6 million. The way dollar figures are going right now, their last estimate, it was 4.5 to close. So, you know, things just keep climbing, right?
And what kind of time frame is that since we're talking about?
We're probably talking 20 years plus.
Okay.
So 50, if you've seen how much money's changed in the last 4 years, imagine what's gonna happen in the next 50, right?
Yeah,
And technology will change and regulations will all change along the way, but at least we've got that cushion where whatever happens, they're taking half.
the council of the day will look like geniuses.
Yeah.
Is that all for now? See you.
That is, well, that was just a.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Item number 7 is the third and final reading of bylaw 2023-03, being a fees and charges amendment.
I'll make a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 2023-03.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Thank you, Councillor Burtis. Any questions or comments?
No,
All in favor? Carried. Number 8, third and final reading of bylaw 2023-05, being a zoning bylaw.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Burtis. Any more questions or comments?
No,
All in favor? Carried. Item number 9, third and final reading of bylaw 2023-06, being the cemetery bylaw.
I'll make a motion to do the third and final reading of 2023-06 of the cemetery bylaw.
Thank you,
I'll
Council.
second that.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Any questions or comments?
No,
It's been a long process. All in favor? Carried. Happy to be past the cemetery bylaw. All right, number 10 on the agenda is Carol Watson, the burial plot of late Phyllis Watson. CO Lockwood, could you elaborate on this for us a little bit? Give us some background as to how this situation arose and if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, your worship. So, we've been informed by our public works staff that the old section of the cemetery is unsafe for them to place equipment in. And the fact that there is no actual defined layout of where graves is in the old section of the cemetery. So they've dealt with, they have dealt with trying to dig graves in there in the past where there's graves on angles where they're not supposed to be in locations that they're not supposed to be. And the fact that we can't get equipment in there and the old graves are collapsing, so it's unsafe for us to take equipment in for starters. Secondly, we cannot confirm where other graves are to ensure that when we do go to dig grave, we're not going to be digging into somebody else's burial site. Last summer, we filled in a majority of the graves that were in there from due to collapse and slough. But all that work was done by our summer staff using wheelbarrowing it because of the fact that we couldn't get in there. The liability for us is if that we went to dig and we dug into somebody else's grave, the consequences, not only emotionally to the family of the person that we would be disrupting would be astronomical. And then the other side of it is, how do we tell one family that will make an exception from them when we've been turning people away for years. Prime example would be McCullough family. Wally's buried outside because of the fact that it was unsafe to go in and try and dig where their family plot was. And it's not just one, it's been numerous. So how do we make one exception and not for the others? And then the other one is that it would have to be done by hand. And that area is really prone for sloughing, so it gets really complex. I do feel for the family, but I'm not sure how we address that, because this situation goes back to before the town was incorporated. Most of those graves that were put there were all before 84.
And they're not registered or defined or.
Some are, but they're, if, I wish we would have scanned and we can send council a copy of the map for there. It's pick up sticks, yeah, on angles and crossways and.
So with the comment of like misinformation in this letter, is that where might she have got misinformed?
Town rumor mill, this all played out for weeks before anybody came to us.
Okay,
And when this started, when Mrs. Watson was buried, they came in, met with Tiffany, and Tiffany showed them everything, and the son, Robert, was, you know, he understood, you know, what it wasn't what they wanted, no, but he understood, and so she was buried as close as we could get to there.
Yeah.
Which in turn, if council did decide to allow for this to be done, then there's actually, we gotta go to court to get permits to exhume her
replace.
and replace her. It's a very complex thing. But like I said, how do we say to the Watson family that we're gonna do it for them when we've told all these other families that we wouldn't do it for them? It's complex, right?
But like they were, well, the son was not fine, but like understood and.
Was in agreement.
He was in agreement.
Yeah,
That wouldn't have happened, right?
That's right, okay, no, I was just.
And I think it's just remorse when they got home, maybe, I'm not sure, the record, I'm not sure what played out. But, before the Watson family ever reached out to us, it was planned by former community members that were friends of the family, were trying to do petitions and organize equipment, and without even knowing the reasons why.
Is there any comments or questions from council?
Not really. I mean, it's obviously an unfortunate scenario for the family, but I don't really know
Can be done.
what can be done really unless
Is
you
there,
exhume the husband and move him to her grave. That's getting weird.
But even then, though, you can't really quit, like.
Yeah.
You're just hoping.
Yeah, I mean,
It's very unfortunate, and hence the reason that the old cemetery was closed, and that was closed
So
off.
it's completely closed now. Sorry to interrupt. It's completely closed. Like there's no.
We're not, no, I've been here, hate to say it, but few weeks away from 6 years, and we have not buried anybody in there that time.
But like, that's not even an option now. Like it's closed.
I think ashes still are.
Well, yeah, ashes could be done,
Oh, okay.
because that's done with a shovel, right? But this is something totally different, and even if they wanted to, and it's not just him, there's numerous family graves that are there, so it's not. Makes it really difficult, and like I said, it'd be different if this was the first one and it, you know, was a one-off thing, but it's not, it's, how do you talk, you know, because even in their email, they refer to the McCullough family, right? And Wally, you know, they're affected by this as well, right?
Yeah,
Were they happy about it? No, but they were understanding. It's not a great situation, but like I said, all that stuff was done before the town was incorporated. So that was still back when it was YG's cemetery. And since then, that's where the new part of the cemetery has been built, right?
I don't know how the cemetery's laid out. Like, I don't know when you're talking old section, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know how it's all laid
The
out
map
right
in
now.
your council folder.
Was there a map there? I thought that was a map of like the new,
No, she just.
Oh, you just put it
Yes,
in. oh, you just added it. Oh,
If you want, I can bring it up on the screen for you, just, I won't screen share it, so Button unfortunately won't see it, but put it so council can all view it.
you just added that, Tiffany? Oh, okay. 'Cause I was
So
like,
this is how it's like, well. Like how the people under, like,
I administered the graveyard,
yeah,
and there's a list of where everyone is supposed to be in correlation with the map. And it doesn't match. So like, it'll say that there is plot number, et cetera, at say H12, and it's not there. So even our lists
Isn't
don't match
with
the
them.
map. So it's kind of a scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that because of the fire that we don't have an accurate one? Like when the,
I honestly don't, well, this was prior, well, it would have been prior to the fire, all right. So I don't know who drafted this up. If it was in a town record, it would have been lost.
yeah,
So, yeah, so I'm not sure where this came from.
okay.
And like you said earlier, Cam, there's a registry for burial, right? So there should be a registration for a majority of these somewhere.
Well, we do have a record,
Yeah,
but it's
not matching up to the map.
not matching up now, that's right.
very.
You said you closed the old section because of safety issues?
Well, because of this mess.
Yeah.
Well, like, look, like they're not even in a row or
Like,
anything,
no,
like,
for some, like,
And what Terry
Yeah.
told me, prior to her leaving the town is that they did hire Mickey to go out and try and plot some of these out, but that some of the old markers were made of wood and may no longer be there. So there may be unmarked.
There could be a whole bunch of unmarked graves in these
There, yeah.
sections, right? That we don't know
oh,
So when you're saying old cemetery, this is the whole cemetery
No,
or this
this
is a
is-
certain section of
about.
it?
As you pull up to the cemetery, it's
Left.
right on the left
Right
hand
hand
side
cor-
and it's
yeah.
fenced. It's totally fenced.
Oh, because I saw a main gate here, so it looked like it was like literally you're walking in and it's this whole front section.
Yeah. So you can see the dilemma, your worship, as to the situation we're in, right?
Is this gonna continue to be a problem? Do you think there's other registered people to be?
Do we have any more reserved,
Old section, I
Yeah.
don't believe so, but I can check.
I hate to ask, but what about Lloyd and Evelyn Costa, because I believe we have paid plots reserved.
They're in the newer section.
Yeah, Tiffany's got the full list of registered, so, yeah. Yeah, no, there's, old time citizens, right, those are the ones you think about. But yeah, like Tiffany says, I think that this might have been the lost reserves one in there.
I'd have to look through the list to confirm that, but
I think it's fairly close.
So is there any capacity for us to get something to tell us that, to identify if there's graves there that we can't, or is that equipment like so expensive it's not?
Well, and it's the only thing they can use is ground penetrating radar. And if you've been watching anything to do with the residential school stuff, it's very inaccurate.
Oh, okay.
And I used it through the RCMP as a bomb tech. And you'll get anomalies and it could just be a rock in the ground that could cause anomaly. And it depends on if it's a hollow or if it was hand dug, and they'll give different sizes and shapes and feedback. So you could end up with a whole bunch of stuff that we don't know about or might not show anything.
Right, okay.
and it's not an option to do it by hand, did you say that already?
Well, because we're not sure if we're digging into somebody else's grave.
But he also said it's a high area for sloughing too.
I
So,
just thought if there was anybody that needed to do some community service.
yeah, that's out the window. Community service is
Okay.
no longer a thing.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's just. The liability of the municipality, your worship, I think is substantial.
So is there anything that we can do to? I don't know, because I'm noticing that it was dated April 1st. There must have been some conversations since.
With the family?
Yeah,
Yes, Tiffany's been corresponding with them. And the son Robert's actually been in the office. So we told, the response went that this was coming to council. And after it was met with council, then it would be reviewed, or there would be another response to them.
but right now we said, you know. I don't know,
I can see their frustration, but at the same time, I just don't really know what we're to do about it.
can we ask if there's something we can do with his? What is within our power or ability to do? Like, is it, or is it just a too bad, so sad scenario, you know what I mean?
But Cam already said that they buried her as close as they possibly could. You've done what you could, right?
And that was the same thing with McCullis.
Were we aware of this prior to putting her where we put her, like?
They met,
Yeah,
They met,
met with
We met.
family
Yeah.
member.
We met with the family. Yeah, I guess that's when you were outside of the room.
Yeah, sorry.
But yes, Tiffany met with the son,
Robbie,
Robbie and his wife, and Lauren Armstrong was also sat in on that. But that was the discussion. And they're the ones that agreed to the site where she went, and even though it wasn't what her wishes
Ideal.
were, but that was, yeah, and this all came out after.
In my mind, I'm hoping that this won't happen again. You know, like I don't want to have people registered to be next to their loved ones and that not be able to happen.
Yeah.
Secondly, I guess, is to offer any other kind of assistance we can in the situation outside of relocating the already buried.
Well, the thing is, that then we're still in the same situation of having to go in and dig into
Well,
the graves,
yeah.
and where a lot of them, they're already
we can't-
collapsed, right?
Yeah, we can't.
we consider that this is a one-off.
Yeah.
And if you also consider that the time it would take to hand dig it, plus labor, plus whoops penalties, if you will. Could we not refund the cost of the plot as say, this is our olive branch? Would that be,
I don't know, it was
would that
probably.
be out of the question?
When they reserved that plot, it might have been $5 at the time, I'm not sure.
But whatever we charge them, right? Do we say like, hey, you know, like, we're very sorry, like, cause if this is being a one-off, this is not gonna happen in the future. And we can even follow it up with like, say, the McCullough family even, say like, hey, we're sorry that this happened to you. We understand, and in our understanding, we're gonna say like, this is the best we can do as a way to make the situation better.
I guess your worship, my follow-up to that is that we don't know how many people have been turned away from in there, right? Because that was when Terry was still administrating the cemetery, so we don't know how many other families are turned away. I know just these two for sure, but I know there's more.
I think what you're trying to say is if, like Tiffany, you're saying, if anybody wanted to be in there, they would need to be cremated and that would be the only way that they could be there.
Yeah.
So that would be another suggestion to make, is if somebody wanted to be close to their family beside them, that would be the only way that we would be able to accommodate them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just,
And we didn't check the plot that she was buried in, there was no charge.
No, there was.
We did charge them? Oh,
What was the check?
It's just the regular charge.
Yeah.
$600.
so, okay, I didn't know that. I thought that because they'd already paid for the one, that they would just give them a different one. So I think, yeah, then I agree with Counselor Slager then. If we did charge for second
Refund.
plot, then we should refund it because they had already
they already
reserved.
reserved one.
That was before there was payment for reservations.
Oh, there
So
wasn't?
People used to just come in and reserve plots.
Okay,
Whatever, right?
I think that's an effort at least to show our,
I agree.
and to show that we're sorry that this happened, but kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point.
Yeah.
And
It's something.
it's something, and
How far, like I can see what you're saying, Cam, too. How far do you go back, right? Like how
There can't be
far?
that many.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, how far do you go back?
People that actually reserved, they like, this being, I see this as being what the colors, with this one, perhaps there might be one more. Are we really up millions of dollars?
I'm not disputing it. I'm
I know.
just saying, how far do you go back? That's all I'm saying.
It means enough that they wrote a letter. And I don't know, I think it behooves us to try to meet them somewhere in the middle. And to do what we can, and it shows that we at the very least sympathize with their situation. Thank you.
We needed a motion to direct administration.
I will make a motion to refund the cost of the burial due to the extenuating circumstances of said burial of Phyllis Watson. Was that more, or do you need something better?
That's great. Thank you, Councillor Singer. Thank you, Councillor Burtis. Any more questions, more discussion, comments, another motion?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Your worship, I just wonder if council would like to pen a letter to the family, being that this letter was directed to council.
Yeah.
To say, you know,
Council will reply to that letter and will refund their money for the.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And are we only refunding that particular family? That's my question.
Yes.
Sorry,
We're only
Yes.
refunding that particular
that
family.
was the motion, yes.
All right,
And I do believe that I think it's already in our bylaw that we just passed, but no further activity will happen within those boundaries.
Definitely not.
Okay. Good, okay. Item number 11, the procurement and purchasing policy, which is on here for review because when we implemented this policy, we said we would bring it back annually to discuss.
how's it going?
It's so far we haven't had no complaints and it seems to be working very well in-house. We're just into the procurement cycle where we're doing the capital purchasing, but we had already implemented, you know, the RFP process prior to this.
Mhm.
So, in-house wise, there's been no issues. Actually, it's actually streamlined some stuff that, it's taken some stuff off my desk that actually managers are responsible for now. So, and that way it's become more efficient and I do review them, but I'm not the final say on, like, as per the policy and stuff, the managers at applicable level sign off on the applicable things. In my mind, it's working really well. There was correspondence out to the chamber, no response from them. But as you all know, the chamber is sort of defunct and the president, Mr. Holt, is leaving town. So I got a feeling that chamber's gonna fold.
There's no comments or questions or concerns with the policy, then just bring it back for annual review and, you know, maybe next year, Cam, you can give us a couple examples where it's really helped with your administration. Just give us a couple.
I think I'm just trying to remember last year, I unfortunately lost my notebook I was using at the time. So I can't reference those notes, but, yeah. I think my issue at that time was that, you know, before we passed the policy, there was no consultation done with the chamber or like the business community really, or with anybody that would be potentially, you know, affected by this policy. But I mean, if there's no chamber of commerce, then, I mean.
Yes, and local businesses are still getting our business.
Yeah.
For normal.
I think at that time, my issue was just that, I guess they weren't asked ahead of time, but if things are going well and there's not a chamber to engage, then.
It's really tough to engage with the business community if there isn't a consolidated group of people.
Or like a representative or whatever, yeah.
Unfortunate. maybe somebody new will come along and recreate that situation.
Never know.
Business community endeavors, because it needs to happen, you know, really does. I won't get into the details of the Chamber of Commerce, but it's unfortunate that it has to fold, but I think there is a necessity for a group of individuals who want to come together in the behalf of the business community, because there's missed opportunities with Taya. Is a huge one, and the hotels that used to get all that kind of business. All your tourist money, all your some marketing money, and just basic, you know, what's the word I'm gonna use?
Exposure.
Yeah, it's exposure, and it's a group of people that can definitely influence
Mm,
council and, you know, have say within the Yukon Chamber of Commerce as well. Without having our Chamber of Commerce developed here, you have no say within the Yukon Chamber. You know, it loses that voice, it loses the Watson Lake business voice, so hopefully something can come together, but can't see that in the near future. All right. Moving right along. Thank you, everybody, for that. Number 12 is the meeting request from Minister Mostyn during AYC. He has given us a couple of choices.
what did we counter offer again? Did he ask us the,
So Minister Mostyn's office came back and said either Thursday evening or Friday before the conference starts at 9, or during lunch break, or prior to the supper, which starts at 5:30.
that's my least favorite option.
5:30 on Saturday.
Well, it'd be
Well, there was some question about-
4 and 5:30.
We requested Sunday at 1.
Yes, and he's leaving town Saturday.
Hmm.
Just let him stand for the whole conference.
Unfortunate.
Is there anything specific you'd like to address with us?
Him to us, I don't believe so. I think that we have to communicate to him our concern with our infrastructure plan and zero funding available for that plan.
What was the option on Thursday again? Sorry to interrupt.
In the evening when we're having the
Meet and greet.
meet and greet.
I don't want to miss that.
No.
And then Friday?
Friday lunch would be the best, I would think, for me anyway.
Because it was either Friday morning or Friday lunch.
Can we do it on Zoom? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't want to miss out on the conference we're hosting. I don't want to be stuck in a room, you know, engaged in a meeting that's really gonna be unproductive, you know, so,
Do we need a meeting?
I mean,
Well, if it's gonna be unproductive, but it's like, I'm not in the habit of having meetings just for the sake of having meetings.
yeah,
So unless there's something tangible that could come of this, I would also counter with, we don't need to meet to hear no.
Your worship, I honestly think, as you and I spoke today, Haynes Junction actually sent a letter to Minister Mostyn and the government regarding ISIP funding and funding going forward, and it was brought forward in the legislature and addressed by the Yukon Party. I honestly think there was more response by doing a letter than actually the in-face part.
Let's do both. We'll send a letter regarding our infrastructure funding and that we have a problem with it and it's not coming to fruition. And if we don't get any response or comment before AUIC with regards to that letter, then we'll ask for a quick sit down on the Friday at lunch and say, hey, we sent you this letter. We had no follow-up. What can you provide us?
Provide us an update.
And if there's nothing, then we'll say, okay, well, there's not much else we need to talk about, I guess.
There you go. I like that plan. Mr. Lee.
sure, sounds good.
Okay.
I just, yeah, I think that if, you know, we're the host community and we have been working really hard on this event and I think that we should be out there, you know, talking to people and hosting, you know.
Exactly, agreed.
Okay. That'll be the plan then. We'll draft a letter to send to Minister Mostyn ASAP. I just get you guys to take a look at it. We'll get it off to him right away.
Sounds
so
good.
that he has something in his hands. And then if we don't have a response from him, we'll plan to meet with him on the Friday at lunch. Okay. We'll tell him it's a half-hour meeting because I don't think we have a whole bunch of topics. Okay. Okay. Wunderbar.
Got all that. Make a motion to go in camera?
Councillor Openform.
Oh, sorry, whoops.
Can we, I just was thinking of this while we were talking this earlier, and then I heard you guys say that this was actually in the cemetery thing, and then I was trying to find the actual line to confirm that, but, about not using the old section at all, anymore, like, and I just thought, just to make sure, like, is there such thing as like designating it as like a historical area? Is that a thing? Cause like, how old are the remains in there? Like, probably pretty old.
Well, some are from, some of the most recent graves are like 83, I've seen.
Because then you know, like, there's no digging in there, there's no way that there can be any one-offs, there's no hand digging, there's no, nothing, it's just like closed. You can go in there, visit your loved ones, maybe, but you like can't disturb the ground and,
Well,
you know.
I think, your worship, that we should still leave it for families that maybe for cremation, right? Because that, it's not, if they have a headstone and they wanted to put cremated remains right next to the headstone, we're not going deep into digging into graves, right? Because the cremation sites are narrow. And I think, honestly, it could be addressed in a policy instead of having it tied to the bylaw.
Okay, I was
Does that make
just,
sense?
Well, I think there should be some uphill policy or surrounding the older section, and that there definitely won't be anything registered to be buried there going forward. But if there's some, I haven't looked through that bylaw myself either, but I haven't seen any designation as to what that can possibly look like, but.
Yeah.
But I think there is some usage to be done there, right?
and sorry, are there any other, you might have answered this already, any other reserved ones that we think are
I'm gonna
out there?
look into it, not as far as the list I have,
Well,
but
just let it-
I'll dig a little deeper.
If there were, if we could just like reach out to those people, we like to see, this isn't gonna happen, so. Just as a heads up,
Yeah, just to ease it before it.
Yeah. Like, sorry, but this is just.
Yeah, I mean, they could go with
And we've
cremation.
had so many other ones where there's been reserved plots. That people they've reserved a plot, but then they get cremated and then they don't put the ashes there either. So we've had these anomalies, right,
Yeah.
that we're chasing them. So this is where now any reserved plot has to be paid for, right? So, because we had some families, remember we talked about, well, maybe it was when your worship was on council the previous term, where we talked about how many plots that were blanketed with no deposits, no nothing, and families not even using them, right? So, and we were running out of plots, so hence the reason we went through that whole exercise of sending letters out, and no responses, some responded and some actually came in and paid. So it's been a longer drawn out process, but to tie that into the policy right now, we have Heidi's working on the policy to go in hand with the bylaw.
Okay.
So now that's the place that we'll put it in, and then it's, you guys adopt it and we're gonna forward it.
Thank you. The only other thing I was gonna say is. You guys all know this, but to remind you and anyone who's listening, Button, that we have the volunteer appreciation barbecue on Thursday, April 20th. Do we have people coming?
50.
Okay.
Thank you, your worship, we have 50 confirmed as of today.
There'll be more.
Yeah, there'd be more, but we were trying to get it so we have confirmed numbers, so it's just not a free for all, right?
Mhm.
Once they know what we're having though.
I'll be there.
Anything else for Councillor Openform?
Thomas, do you have anything?
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask about AYC. So it just seems like it's so quiet and yet we're hosting. Is there not something that us as councillors should be doing or things you want to delegate to us? Because I'm happy to do something if there's something that needs to
Your
be.
councillor chair might have the answers.
Oh, yeah, so we need to do some donation requests. To a few places, locally. We're actually gonna have a little meeting after this.
Council meeting?
Yeah, just, subcommittee, whatever. Honestly, I mean, I think things are going pretty well. other than, you know, we just need donations for the auction, silent auction. And, we need to just like solicit some people for that.
When you say locals, like just Watson Lake, or we looking at
Just-
Whitehorse, or we thinking to
Just
do?
Watson Lake.
I-
The only business that's confirmed so far, formally confirmed that they were donating is Home Hardware. I know I spoke to his worship, so, but the Home Hardware is the only one that's actually sent a confirmation. That they were donating, so I think it's just a matter of council can,
Storm up some more.
storm up the local businesses, right, and divide and conquer, so maybe in between the five of you, if you can figure out who each one wants to talk to, that would be greatly appreciated, right?
I like just the idea to, local artists, some jewelry makers, there's,
It's really, really hard to ask those people to donate stuff though.
yeah,
Um,
there's no harm in asking.
yeah,
And the quality, the difference in stuff that you're gonna get has more value. It's coming from Watson Lake as a local artist, as a local creator. I think it has more value than a book.
But maybe then
Or-
your worship that the local business would donate something that Watson Lake made, right?
yeah.
Makes sense.
That's like, I'm just saying to us as like independent artists that are just like themselves to donate something. It's,
business bought something.
It's tough. but I mean, because they can usually write that off as like a charitable donation or something. I think, I'm not, you know. Sure that works.
That's what I wondered, if we had any budget to buy any.
Yeah, so
Donate.
we'll talk about that shortly. So we approved obviously some money at the, last time we talked about this. We need to obviously spread that budget out across the, dinner that we're hosting, the stuff that we're purchasing for the, welcome bags, and then also stuff for the auction. So we have a bunch of stuff to cover with pretty tight budget
Yeah.
considering, but we are gonna talk about that a little bit later.
I'd say, yeah, I need to add to that budget. Just because of the cost of food alone, $10,000 for dinner is of this quality is not. It's not a stretch. So.
Does the government put any money into it, or is it just AYC that puts money in?
AYC and us.
Okay,
And they did say that whatever they had left over from whatever budget they were working with, that they would put towards some things on our end.
Yeah, but their budget is tight.
Yeah.
We sponsor Saturday night. And, I don't know, do we do the Appies for Thursday? I can't remember, Tiffany.
I can't remember either.
No,
They were also talking about maybe getting the minister to sponsor one of those, cocktail things.
yes,
I can't remember if that was gonna be Thursday or,
so far they hadn't got confirmation on that.
oh, okay.
Well, I think we had a pretty lengthy discussion about the budget as far as what the municipality was going to contribute, and if you're telling us that it's just the meal that we're doing.
Well, we're doing the meal, the gift pack bag things as
Right.
well, right?
Yeah.
So that adds up quite a bit when you start looking at, that eats up money in a hurry, right?
Can we revisit that budget idea if you have a better idea of exactly what you need?
We'll know more for next council meeting, your worship.
Okay.
So, which is, still gives us time for council to amend if needed.
Sounds good. Okay with that, Councilor Slager?
I am, yes.
Councilor Paquette, anything?
did we purchase anything to coordinate with the Northern Light Center for gift bags and things? We're
We're
not gonna,
we're in, it's in the works right now.
oh, okay.
Okay, anything else for Councilor Open Forum? Okay. We do have a small in-camera item. A motion to go in camera?
I'll make a motion to go on camera.
I'll second that.
Councilor Hancher, all in favor? Carried. Going to camera. Goodbye, button.
See that in-
Thanks for coming. You're our Ruth Wilkinson today.
It's worth.
Except her comments are way more entertaining. Did you read?
Make a motion to come out of camera.
I'll second.
All in favor? Motion to adjourn,
Make that motion.
I'll second.
all in favor? Motion, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.